feel better because you're here.
I bet.
What's your agenda?
It sounds like we've got 4 minutes. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And what is your pleasure with the consent agenda?
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as written.
I second.
All in favor? The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be Monday, March 23rd at 5:30 here in the West Bath Town Hall meeting room. I have no particular comments. Anybody got any comments? All right. Public, do you have a comment? Not yet. All right. Business items. We have Erica Bailey and
Chris McHale.
Chris McHale from Casella Waste, and they're going to talk to us about what's happening at the transfer station.
Yes. Do you want us to sit right here?
You can
Or
sit
stand,
right there.
or-
Well, that's fine.
Is it
We're
podium?
casual.
We're very informal.
So, yeah, it was brought to our attention that some residents were concerned about how recycling is being handled at the transfer station. Maybe some rumors about some things about recycling, and we just want to put the kibosh to those rumors. Clarify some things that have changed at the transfer station, and that's what we're thinking, maybe if this changes, that's where these kind of like concepts are being, invented. But Chris can explain to you, because he runs it.
So I'm not aware of the specific issues, but where it starts for us is the curbside collection, and we collect the West Bath recycling with a split body truck, which means it's divided in the middle. So we're collecting both trash and recycling at the same time at the curb. One side of it's for the trash, one side of it's for the recycling. Once that's collected, it gets brought to the transfer station in West Bath. The trash is dumped out and the recycling is dumped out into the same building. Those are separated on the right side. If you were to look at the building, you would see the trash gets put on the right side, and then on the left side is where the recycling is put. A trailer is brought into the transfer station and loaded with whatever material we're going to put in that trailer, which would be either trash. And then when we pull that trailer out, when we're ready to load the recycling, we pull that trailer in and load that trailer with the recycling. The recycling then gets shipped to Lewiston, where we have a recycling facility there that separates the material, because it's obviously zero sort recycling. During the drop-off days, we do take in recycling. That's put in a roll-off container inside the building, where we will later, once that container is full, when residents are bringing the material in, we pick up that container and dump it into the building where it will get loaded into the trailer. So I don't know if that answers the questions that you had in regards to that, but that's kind of our process. There is no mixing of the trash into the recycling or vice versa. We separate those on two separate sides of the building and make sure that we're handling them correctly.
I think some of the concerns that I've heard about have been that there was some trashy stuff around, the area didn't seem clean, and also particularly on Saturday mornings, people felt that the service was not as good as it had been, that there was long lines and not very much attention being paid. Those are the concerns that I have heard.
Okay, so I wasn't aware of that specific. So I can look into that and see if there's been any hold up on Saturday, if there's been any increase in people coming in. I know we have the same crew that's been running it, so I don't know what would have changed there, but I can definitely look into that. But we are challenged with people bringing in material that is contaminated with food waste and stuff like that. We try to do our absolute best to make sure that that material is removed. If it is contaminated, we do have to put that, in with the trash.
Is that what you're talking about, where recycling looks dirty, or just the facility
The
itself?
facility itself.
Well,
so
It's
Okay.
a transfer station, but
Like
like,
the timing of what are the hours, maybe we should, what are your hours on Saturday, if people are trying to come there specifically?
Yeah, I can provide you that information. It's,
Just so we can get it out, so that everybody knows what a schedule is, and
I'd like to get to, have some time to clarify that.
Mhm.
I was under the impression it had to do with the curbside collection and then how the material is being handled.
or how the people dropping off the
Yeah.
recycling at
Right.
the transfer station and changing of the truck. So if you see a split body truck there with, it's literally split down the middle. And
Yeah,
there's a huge bucket on the left and a huge bucket on the right, and one goes with one material and the other one goes in the other, but it does look like it's going in the same truck.
yeah.
So,
We haven't
But
had
it's
any
not.
complaints
Yeah,
along those lines at all. It's always about the hours you're open, the long lines, being paid attention
Let me,
to.
I can get you some, I was under the impression it was
That's-
to do with
yeah.
contamination, so, I can get you that information.
if there's items, because I know that if there's an item in there, the contaminants can actually, I'll say ruin a load of recycling. So perhaps we look at explaining better what the process would be, so that if people are trying to manage their recycling and really want to move forward with that, what is the best way for them to do that, so.
David, do you
A
have?
couple of questions there was, they were concerned about traffic flow. Where that park was, people were coming both ways,
Yeah,
and they couldn't, they couldn't go through, because the traffic flow as far as vehicles go, was plugging each other up.
yeah, so we
Where it's
removed
parked.
the truck, so we're not using the truck anymore, and we're actually using the building instead.
Just a general question is, what's happening to the world of recycling as far as getting rid of the products? Overall, what's happening in that world?
well, we're able to move it, so China doesn't take our stuff anymore in the States. So there's other countries where, that are obviously getting crushed because the United States of America only has so many end sites to ship to. But we're able to move our product, we have a great reputation of it being clean. If it is contaminated in the recycling, MRF, the material recycling facility in Lewiston, they have to pull it out and trash it, because we wanna keep our reputation solid. But we're moving glass, we're moving aluminum, we're moving plastics, we're moving cardboard and paper. It's not as fast as we like it to be, but it's going.
And one other thing is, a couple of times they've missed our road, and I called down, because you call the West Bath Station, and the line's always busy.
Well,
You can
do
never
you
get
pay for your service?
No,
Or is it
recycle service.
Yeah, no, it's a.
Town
it's
business.
a-
Okay.
yeah.
But you call the West Bath off the recycling center, the line's always busy, you
Yeah, yeah.
never get through. So you call Portland, Scarborough, Evans, and they say, well, have them pick it up tomorrow, and that's Saturday. You guys don't pick up on Saturday. So you should let Portland office know that you're not gonna pick it up on Saturday.
Yeah, I can.
If they miss us on Friday,
Yeah.
No, I get it.
no one's gonna pick it up on Saturday.
Well, and that's really, let's establish a process that we can share with the community.
Yeah,
If it's a missed day, what's the next step?
Sounds bright to me.
We can email you guys, if you guys wanna send us your questions. We were not prepared for any of this stuff. I was under the impression it's all about recycling and contaminations, and the impressions that people were getting when they got there, that it wasn't being recycled. So you can send,
There were some questions
that's
about that.
what we're prepared to answer. So if you wanna come up with some more questions, Christine has my email, and we can definitely work together and resolve them and yeah, move forward.
Mhm.
So, and on the recycling question, I can upload to you guys a bunch of information on what is recyclable and what's not, and then you guys can download on the website.
But even explaining like contamination, if you throw in a jar of spaghetti sauce that wasn't washed out, or what are the things that you should be doing for proper preparation?
Yeah, I don't think
Pizza boxes,
people
we get a lot of
understand
pizza
that.
box questions.
It's always been as clean and dry. It's always been a rule of thumb. If it's dirty, it's trash.
Like leave the top on, leave the top off, so if you clean it out and you get the condensation, should the top still be on it, or do you not care about the
Leave it on,
top? Or
that's fine. Yep.
just, so if you give guidelines that we can share, then they can follow it. And
Just clean and dry as possible. That's always been the golden rule for all of recycling. And then, the other issue is wet cardboard. So I can talk about that in my email too. So that's not dry, it's wet. So it's trashed. So if there's, heavy rains out there and you guys have your cardboard outside, you just got an Amazon box drop and it's soaked, throw it away. It's not recyclable. And
Even if it dries out afterwards?
it takes forever to dry it out
Okay.
after. If you can dry it out, fantastic. Clean and dry as possible. But if it remains soaking wet, then it's not going to do us any favors. That's our number one contaminant, is wet cardboard.
Even cardboard on the wet ground,
But it's
something you
wet,
don't even think about, yeah.
yep. And then shredded paper does not get recycled either.
Oh.
It's too much for our process. It's like,
So what happens is at the
We
beginning,
produce a lot of shredded paper here at town hall.
yeah, just toss it.
at the
But no
beginning,
one's
at
ever
the beginning
said
of their, going through the machine, what it does is it breaks up the glass and the glass falls down. Well, what happens is the shredded paper falls down with it and it
Glass, it breaks the
contaminates.
glass.
Well,
We've been giving
So-
it to the people that pick it up.
That's
They come-
perfect. It's not then you've been giving it to who?
Well, the recycling guys that come around are incredibly friendly, we give them the bags. I wish they would have said, we don't take that, and, but they might not, I don't know. They probably just put it in the trash and don't hassle us, but I would have rather
No,
preferred to know, so I
Yeah.
wouldn't waste everyone's time, but,
It's a learning curve. I mean, we're learning too. I mean,
yeah.
China just closed its borders 2 years ago. It has been a learning process for us as well. And we're learning every day. So this is not an attack. This isn't like you guys are doing wrong. This isn't a thing like that. It's just education.
Yeah.
And we're doing it all the time, with education on recycling. So, but if you guys want to come up with more questions, then I can send you guys an email out. Maybe we can set up like a recycling audit at the transfer station one day where I have a huge table and Rezzy pulls up, dumps it, I dump it out, and I tell them no, 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 and yes. And then they're like, wow, okay, they really get an understanding of what's recyclable or not. I do that a lot too. Waste audits or recycling audits.
We could maybe, set up something with this,
Yeah, the recycling committee.
our recycling committee, so that, oh.
Yeah, we do it. I work with recycling committees all the time.
Yep.
You could go out there and do a whole
Yeah.
movie on recycling.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do that and then put it on the website, yeah, people.
We have videos online. I can send you guys links to all that.
That would be
We already
helpful.
have
that'd be great.
videos.
If you showed our
Our
spot,
trash, yeah.
and if we were like this meeting is being videotaped and posted, we would do the same thing with the recycling.
Yeah. And their
No,
TED
but you
Talks,
have
they're
it.
super short, because the attention span of people sometimes with recycling is not
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
can
a
post those on
45
Facebook
second,
where
this is
they
the
can-
reason why you can't, this is what's allowed, this is how you do it, done. So, yeah, but I can help you guys get on board with all of that. Yep,
That sounds good.
yep, absolutely.
There's probably a number of plastics that can't be recycled too.
That's correct.
I think, people don't understand what kind of plastic they
Yeah.
can throw into their recycling.
Yep, yep, lots of, yep,
Could all their
so.
little codes up, what they all mean. The bottom of
Yeah, I
the
thought it was anything with a recycling arrow. Is that not
Yeah,
true?
that's a totally different topic. So, that code's going away. So, yeah. I know, I will. But yeah, there's that whole market of plastics and how they label what's recyclable is going away, it's changing. How fast? Well, I just explain it like this, if you're the ones producing the millions of plastic cups that are no longer recyclable, but you haven't sold them yet, you're not gonna throw them away, right? You have to move that product before you produce the new product with the no recycling label on it. So it's gonna take some time to purge that 1 through 7. The label, the recycling code will still be there.
Oh,
If it's
it'll just be
recyclable,
yes or no,
It will,
basically.
that's correct. Or there'll be no number
Yeah.
with a
Symbol
triangle,
or no symbol?
no more numbers,
Simple. I like it.
no more numbers. That's
Smart.
going
All
away.
those hours you lay awake at night trying to figure that out.
Yeah, no more numbers. So and it'll actually, if you start shopping now, like go to the grocery store tomorrow or Wednesday, you'll see, if you start looking at containers, it'll say no. It's called a recycle right. It's a huge initiative that was
Go shopping.
started by a nonprofit.
Scavenger hunt, it wasn't
So.
go shopping.
That will help.
Recycle right, yeah,
That will help people at home, it will help you on your end as well, I would imagine.
yeah.
It would help with the whole slew.
Well, everybody's, the government's involved, there's commercials, like my 2 kids watch Nickelodeon and they're lambasting them with single-use plastics that's not recyclable because the kids go home and tell mom and dad. So the government's involved, nonprofits are involved, we're involved, there's community involvement, there's recycling committees, like, so it's an ongoing effort. And I definitely love recycling, I don't think it's a market that's ever gonna go away, I don't want it to go away because our end sites are not growing. Nobody's building more landfills, nobody's building more incinerators, it's not happening. So we just gotta be patient with it and then just do the best we can. And if it's not clean and dry, just throw it away. Like it's fine. It's okay.
Clean and dry,
You know?
so lie.
Yeah, there you go.
Slogan.
When in doubt, throw it out is what we say, but I like yours. Yeah, so,
Good, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Anybody else got any
Any
comments?
more questions for me? Or Chris?
Don't be shy.
All right, thank you so much.
You're still welcome. Christine, you have my email, right? You want to forward on the ladies? And
Yeah,
then-
and those links would be great if you can send them. If Carly can get them on our website, then,
Yeah,
yeah, you know, we can start educating our community.
and the West Bath, Recycling Committee can contact me too,
Great.
and I can work with them.
Mhm.
And then, we can maybe do a recycling lot on transportation on Tuesday. That's definitely gonna slow people down. So that probably should be an announcement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
If they're just looking to drop and go,
right,
which we could obviously let some people do that.
right,
I wanna tackle all of them.
right. We would publicize that and schedule it for a nice warm day in the spring.
Or, yeah, or early summer.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, good, thank you.
yeah.
thank you.
You're welcome, you guys, thanks.
All right. Moving. Business item 2, Darlene Estabrook is here to bring us up to date on what's happening with the planning board.
Yeah, so we are working on ordinance changes. I guess my first question is, how long do we have before it has to be due to go into the warrant? The deadline for that?
Probably.
I wasn't sure.
For 2 weeks before it goes to print is when I have to have the final.
Yeah, so you're going to print the end of April, right?
What day is town, the information session is on the
The
12th or the 5th. So,
So that's May 5?
Is that
April 5th.
the information session or
no,
the
May
hearing?
5th is the information session, which would be the final public hearing. I think they're talking about having 2.
Right, and we've got one on April 14th for us, for our stuff, but we're just gonna do it before the meeting. So we'll do it at 6, and the meeting's at 6:30 for the first one.
For April what?
April 14th. It's our regular meeting, we'll just do the informational, or the hearing before the meeting. So half an hour
6
before.
o'clock?
Yeah, so it's at 6, and the meeting will be at 6:30.
Well, the warrant, the annual report will go to the printer probably April 17th, but the ordinance changes would be a separate handout, is that correct? So those, the ordinance changes would need to be available for town meeting, which would be.
But not.
Well, really for the informational session.
Right.
Right,
So as long as they're all buttoned up and ready by the informational session, which is on May 5th.
okay. But you have to have, is it 2 hearings required?
Yeah.
So your
Those
first
are
one,
set though.
we've got April 14th and May 5th for the 2 hearings.
So you'll have an ordinance for the 14th, but if there are other changes,
Right.
those will just be made by.
Right, they also have to go through the lawyer also.
Mhm.
True.
And how long do you want to give them for that?
How much time has been allotted in the past? Does anybody know? I would think that a week is probably even enough, but I would give as much time as possible.
So to back into the printing of it,
So the
why don't you
printing is-
figure out, because that's gonna, if the lawyer has to have a week, when do you need it to print, and then
Well,
back into.
that's what I'm saying, I won't be printing it because it'll be separate.
We'll just reference it on the town meeting warrant, so it wouldn't need to be part of the town report.
Julie usually brings that to Staples, and I think they need a 2 or 3 day turnaround time.
Yeah, we're looking at 3 pages this year, I think.
Oh,
It's
so
not
it'll
that
probably be.
We can do that in-house then, can't we?
We can. Well, no, because it's color.
big. Color.
Right.
We might.
If you give the attorney a week for the final, you'll need to consult with Sally on the first reading, and then probably again on the second, wouldn't you think? If there are changes,
Yeah.
then you need to have that ahead of time, say a week, for, if you're making any changes after the 14th.
Right.
So then if you're scheduling the second hearing for the 5th, then a week, whatever that might be.
So you want them to have it the 7th of April, since our first hearing is the 14th.
Do you want the attorney to see it first?
That, absolutely,
So, okay.
It's not up to me, it's up to you guys, what do you want?
absolutely,
When do you want it, yeah.
yeah.
Especially if she sees any red flags. or
Right,
anything.
we need to have that vetted.
And the second review, I would imagine, would be shorter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, and Easter is
Can-
April 12th, that could also play into
Can
some
you,
play.
can the planning board get it done by the end of March?
Probably.
Why don't we aim for that? That gives you a deadline, and it gives wiggle room if we need it.
Okay.
And it provides, yeah, the opportunity for you to connect with Sally if you have to.
So what's the date that it goes to print? The book?
17th, April 17th.
April?
Do you want to include it if it's available?
Yeah, I mean,
It's usually too much language to be included in the
Well, it's
report.
3 pages.
well, but
That's up to Carly.
the board itself really, we talked about this at the last meeting, is that, we think that it needs to be in the book and on the website, or at least on the website beforehand, because people come in and if you've got 15 pages and now they have to vote on it, there's no way, if you're handing it out at the meeting, that they can really look at it and make an educated decision on it. So I've really had a problem with it not being in the book anymore. It came out of the book, I think, 10 years ago because of cost with the pages and that sort of thing. So, and the board agrees, we all would really rather have it in the book and on the webpage, or at least on the webpage ahead of time, and at the town hall, available if people come in.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's really tough. Yeah. I mean, yes, this is, if it stays 3 pages like this, you can hand this out at the meeting, and this will be, you give them 5-10 minutes to read it before we start. That's fair, but in the past, it's been just monstrous. And
So if we have it printed, available at the counter, and have it as a handout at the meeting, and we have it up on the website for people who have internet access, would that make the board feel that people would have a chance to have it without including it in the
yeah, I would think so.
more
I mean,
expensive book?
even the bigger, you know, if it's a longer one, it really needs to be in there ahead of time so they can read it, if they grab the book.
I don't have any problem having it in the book. My only concern is where there's color with the red and the redacted, how that would translate, because I couldn't do that.
Right. We could
So
do-
if you could make a black and white version, I
Yeah.
can certainly black out space, so at the very last minute, we can put it in the book.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
we can
fine.
do that. It's, the red is just what Word does. I mean, I can print in
I
PDF,
mean,
black
it
and
could
white, and it
be
would be.
bold
okay.
versus not bold instead of red.
So the first hearing is when,
The April 14th,
and the printer is
17th.
17th.
yeah.
So
So
that
if
would
you
be-
print it, and any changes are made after that before the May 5th,
Right.
what do we do? Print a handout?
Well, if I get it to the lawyer by the end of March, it should be ready by the 14th of April. At the hearing,
Yeah.
for the first hearing.
So at that point, your plan would be, there wouldn't be any changes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
unless, you know, if there was huge outcry and then we just say, forget it, or something like that, I mean, I wouldn't think that
Okay.
point. But who knows, there could be changes, sure,
So if you had to make changes and the book's already printed,
yeah.
we could print up a flyer at the town meeting.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think anyone gets a chance to really read any of
Not
it.
if they haven't
And
seen
the
it before.
only, yeah, you've been there, the only information they get is when the person stands up and explains what's in there.
And it's,
You know, and it's just, I
and
don't.
the separated handouts here already. The school
Yeah,
board, everybody else is got handouts.
yeah, and I just don't think it's comprehensive enough to really let people know what's in there. And it matters, so. I get it, it makes a bigger book, but of all the things in there, I don't think it's less important in general.
So if you have it to Sally at the end of March,
Yep,
you would have it back before the hearing, so.
yeah,
So it's,
you're just for a
it
week,
could,
yeah.
it could be out there
Yeah.
as soon as we get it back from Sally,
Right,
assuming that there weren't
right,
humongous changes.
right. And I mean, can I contact Sally with this? Does it have to go through the board? Does it have to go through Carly?
Just, if you let Christine know, we have, the new committee policy is that Christine is kind of the gateway
Okay,
to consultations with the attorney. So let her know when you are in contact, but you would be as the chair of the committee and working on an ordinance change.
yeah, because third with middleman, it just doesn't work well.
Yeah, and I don't wanna try and
We don't wanna-
translate it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not like.
And
you
especially with
couldn't
a
do it
legal
just as a-
document like an ordinance,
Yeah.
I wouldn't wanna interfere in that.
All right, so what we've been working on is, I guess some of the ordinances last year were tabled at the meeting, I wasn't at the meeting, I'm not
Yes.
sure.
Right.
But, so, what is left is there were really two. And I wanted to show you what we've got so far. For the first one, I made you these copies. Sorry, Carly, I don't have one for you.
Yeah, I have a lot. I'll just steal Suzanne's.
No, you can look at it.
I need one.
I'll make a copy and then I'll have Julie give it to you tomorrow.
Julie has that electronically too. She sent it around to all the board members after we did it, so she does have it, so you guys can get it that way. So this is a couple of things. This is, land use district for, it started out as trying to clarify the language in the business and commercial. And so if you turn to like the second page, what we had done is, tried to clarify it by adding a few words and changing it a little bit. It does not change the outline of the zone, but we used, instead of it saying the south side of Route 1, we put the south side of the Route 1 right of way kind of thing to clarify it. So, and a lot of it's like that with the center line, because it just said the road. We're like, well, is it the edge of the road? Is it the edge of the pavement? Is it the edge of the right of way? Is it the center of the road? So most of this change is because of that. We crossed out, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. The other thing inside of this business and commercial is the widening of the zone along Bull Rock Road. So this language is hard to follow and the map is in here, but if you follow this, basically this zone goes down the State Road on the south side of State Road from the river, south side of State Road, then it turns and goes down Foster's Point, and then it, to a certain point, crosses Foster's Point, goes back up to Bull Rock Road. Okay, so the south side of Bull Rock Road, and then it follows and parallels Bull Rock Road until it gets to the State Road again, and then it goes down the State Road. So the setback on the State Road is 500 feet. The setback on the State Road, Bull Rock is 300. So State Road is 500, Bull Rock is 300 for a little span, and then I think down Foster's Point it's 250, maybe 300, not important for this conversation either way. But, so the idea with the other change is that we've changed the offset from the center line of Bull Rock Road south from 300 feet to 500 feet. So FW Webb, which is on Bull Rock Road, is trying to expand like behind the building. So they had come to us and talked to Suzanne, and so moving it back another 200 feet allows them to kind of have some storage and stuff in behind the building. The board, we looked at it, and that little swath really affected, I forget the count, I think it was maybe 6 properties that were along Bull Rock, and out of the 6, only 2 of them were residential used, houses. The rest of them were all businesses. There's like the piece that's really the gully in the swamp, which I think the house that's to it is way back there. And then there's the one on the corner, and then there's the 2 residences, then there's FW Webb and the corner lot, which is really a swamp. So to us, it seemed like it was reasonable, that it didn't have a high impact for anyone really. It's that little piece there. So that would be the only non-declarative change in this portion of the business and commercial. The top line is crossed out. It was crossed out in my ordinance before. I think this note needs to just go to the front, so I've crossed it out. But if you go to the very front, on the front page, you'll see I added some language. So the zoning map has this last one. In the event that there's a conflict between the map and the written district or overlay zone descriptions contained in Article 2 of the land use ordinance, the text of Article 2 shall govern. So it's saying if there's a conflict between the map and the words rule out. And that is on the map, but it wasn't in here anywhere. So it's an overreaching kind of thing, so stuck that in there. And then I moved the note that we struck in the business and commercial and sort of put it above that one. So it's just basically refer to the town of West Bath Land Use Ordinance District and Overlay Zone Map as amended 2016 for visual representation of all land use districts and overlay zones. So that's like a general thing in the front that really needed to be there. I thought it was there, but it's not. And then the little third piece above there is that an offset distance from a road used in defining a district boundary is measured, and I added from the roadway center line in a direction which is perpendicular to the edge of the right-of-way. Just clarity.
How can they do that when they don't even know where the center of the road's at?
Well, see, this is why it has to be the center of the road, because we're not sure where the edges of right-of-way are in a lot of the roads. This means the center of the road, the pavement. Maybe it needs to say pavement instead of center of road.
Well, or,
It's-
yeah,
well, it's
the
the
center
road.
line and the center of the road is 2 different things.
I can look up the legalities of whether roadway center line versus, it's not the right-of-way center line. We don't know where that is. You're right. But the actual pavement roadway center line is easily measured in between the pavement, and then from there you go to the offset.
Might not be the proper spot for people's boundaries though.
We've come across
No, I
that
know.
before.
Right, but this is for where the edge of the zone is. It doesn't really have anything
It's
to
a
do with where
boundary.
your property boundary is. It's just the line where the zone is. I mean, if we were to try to figure out exactly in town, you'd have to know exactly how wide and exactly where every property.
That's kind of the homework
Right away,
the
edges.
person would have to do that wants to get the permit for the commercial building, though, wouldn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
this is,
You're not
Classifying the land also, whether it's residential or, so you've got,
Right, it's a big deal, though. That's a big deal. I mean, it's not like it's nothing. I mean, you open that road up to a 500-foot setback, I mean, that could potentially put a lot more traffic on that road if you want to put a lot bigger buildings on that road now. You put a lot more, a lot more usable land there now. People's values you know, people that didn't have commercial property now, it's commercial property then, and they just doubled the value.
Do you have a solution suggestion in your
Would you say State Road was 300 feet?
So are you,
Some are 5 and some
are
are
you
3
having
in that whole
an
area.
objection to the
No, I'm not
500
objecting to it, I'm just
feet,
laying it out there on my
or the center line
opinion.
versus the right of way?
The
I'm not
problem is we
sure.
don't really know where the center line is of these roads, so if you word it that way, it could be a discrepancy. If they're towards somebody else's property a little bit, and the guy says 2 feet from his 500-foot mark, I
Right.
mean, how do we clarify that?
But if you do it based on the boundary, then you're putting a lot of hardship on someone to have to go and hire a surveyor to charge them $5,000 to find the edge of their property every time they wanna do anything. And it
Well, if they
makes
wanna
it
put
tougher
only
to see.
commercially, right?
But this is how it is for every zone in town. So this is setbacks for your house, they're all based off the center line. Because we don't really know exactly where the right of ways are.
Most of our
So
roads,
we're
we
trying to
know
keep
where
it
it is, but some of them just,
Right, so it's trying to keep it consistent.
So, as road commissioner, do you think the Bull Rock Road is close? Because that's one we're in question, right?
The what's close?
The Bull Rock Road. You think the center line is close
The
on
problem
that?
with Board Road is a 3-rod road, so all of a sudden you just move to that much wider. So if you grab the asphalt is and where the actually center line was, there could be an argument in court there.
But the thing is, it's always been the center of the pavement. It
Right.
just didn't say center of pavement in here. It never said the edge of right of way. We're not physically moving it. We're just clarifying what it was.
No, it's already physically gotten moved.
What's gotten moved?
That center, that road, that line.
She's trying to have a reference point.
Yeah,
Right.
so
So,
clarify what the.
I'm just saying, for example, you got FWWebs, you wanna go back another 200 feet. Well, I know there's a trail on top of the hill up there by FWWeb, and I know there's a house right beside FWWeb, that's gonna encroach on pretty hard.
We're gonna have 2 hearings. We're supposed to notify all of the abutters to see if someone has issue with it. We've got the whole process.
Okay.
So is the complaint with the 500 feet, or is it with using
That's the
center
center of
line?
the, it's, mine is using center of the roads, and when I don't know where the center of the road is, I don't know how. All of a sudden, somebody will measure off the center with that tar is, because every year, that line, when it gets repaved, can get moved. A little bit each year, and it's like,
It's not gonna move 3 feet in either direction.
No.
Check when you,
It's a visual thing, and I mean, when you do property, you survey the property, but if we're trying to figure out if Dave is coming in and wants to put a business, is he within the 300 feet? You know, he's within the 300 feet without going out and getting the surveyor to determine that he's within the 300 feet.
well, I agree, I mean,
You know,
it's something, it's a good way to word it than what you didn't have, but I'm just letting you know that it's, the center, all I was trying to explain is the center of the road is not the center of the road. The center of that asphalt is not the center of the road, so,
So
it's
they.
I know
the
that.
center of the right of way.
I know that.
So I think that we should be going off the center of the right of way if we do it.
Darlene, when you talk with Sally,
Yeah,
she probably has had experience
Right.
with other towns that have wiggly roads.
right.
So ask her what her suggestion is for the best use of language to describe what it is that we're trying to describe. And that probably is the best that we can do, because roads move.
Right, I mean, they do, and without doing massive surveys to know where all these right-of-ways are.
Right. That would be.
Maybe it needs to be pavement center line instead of roadway center line, but roadways seem to be.
Ask her what would
Yeah.
be the best
I'll ask
usage
her.
and how to explain that in the way that the planning board envisions this ordinance actually working.
Are there any dirt roads that are not paved?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't call it that.
Nice, right.
But
Right, roadway.
No,
but
that
not
ordinance,
here.
no, that ordinance.
Not in the business and commercial, no.
Right.
But, I mean, all throughout, it talks about off of the center of the road. So it might be gravel, it might not. I didn't print the other districts behind it, because it was just, would have been too many pages. So I guess, I can ask, if you agree that this is something worthwhile, I can go ahead and ask Sally about the verbiage of that. We have the board tomorrow night,
This stuff on the front page I had done after we discussed it in the meeting, so I'll discuss that with the board and see what everybody thinks too. And it's just when I was doing my markup, I noticed it was not there. So then we had another one that had to do with an accessory use on the water. And we had quite a interesting meeting with that one. I think what I'm gonna talk to the board about tomorrow night is I got some more background. It's legal to put something on the water like that. You can get an NRPA permit from the DEP, but in their review of our ordinance is more strict of whether that's allowed in town at all than the DEP is. So they bounced it back. There have been lots of them permits given out in the past. So it was assumed that it would be okay. So then what happened was when it was discovered that our ordinance was more strict than the DEP and didn't allow it, that's when this whole thing came forward of having an addition to the ordinance. But I mean, at this point, I don't think that we have the time to adequately research and do the language correctly because of the time frame of getting this in. So what I'm gonna talk to the board about tomorrow night is, putting some more research into it and holding off, because I think we're really crunched for time. And I think it needs to be done correctly. We need to mimic what the DEP has for language, and, where I'm just coming in, I didn't know the background and what it was all about, and I just, I'm not sure, maybe the guys have done all of that research. I don't know, I have to talk to them about it tomorrow night, so. That's kind of where we were, where I was with that one. I'll talk to them tomorrow night, see what they say.
Okay.
So it's not up to me, so.
Right. That's good,
Yeah.
that's good. There's no point in pushing stuff that's not ready to go.
Yeah, I don't think it's right to do that. I really don't.
One comes out of special.
Yeah.
You could have a special town.
Yeah, but that's expensive too, and, it's all up to have a special meeting, but we'll see. Maybe they've done all that research and I just didn't know. I just started again a month ago, so it's fine. The other thing was, the legalization of marijuana and stores and distribution and things of that nature. I had asked like 5 years ago when the state, when it became legal, when it passed, and then the state put a moratorium on everything so that they could figure out their regulations, what they were gonna do, how to regulate, how to tax all that stuff, and had come to the selectmen saying, I'm not sure, we probably wanna put a moratorium on all of our ordinance, on the use of that here also, until we can get an idea of what the state's doing, and then we can mimic what the state's doing on our ordinances here. So now that they're done, it seems like that's an appropriate thing to do. Julie actually sent me a really good video today. I did not know this, because I just thought of this the other day. That any, let me see if I get this right. So any medicinal or recreational marijuana distribution, sales, growing, all those things are prohibited by the state in any town, unless the town opts in and writes an ordinance allowing it.
Right.
Where I thought before today that since it wasn't physically in our uses, it could be perceived as a retail business.
No.
So I was unaware of the opt-in. So according to the opt-in, we would have to add it to our ordinance for any type of business use like that to be in town.
But that's not having a police department.
safety in our town?
No. What the state law is essentially is that unless the town agrees that it wants to open itself up to retail sales of marijuana, then it's prohibited.
So if we don't have it in the ordinance, it's not gonna happen. If we haven't,
Right.
unless we choose to put it in the ordinance.
The way I read it, the only thing that is, allowed is caregiver, medical marijuana from caregivers.
On an individual basis.
Yeah, on an individual basis, so that's allowed, but any sort of
And they can only do 5.
growing, manufacturing, sale, thing like that.
So it's not in
So-
the ordinance, it can't.
Right, so, but I mean, that should be on the radar, I think, for next year, and that was just something I wanted to bring up, see what you guys thought about it. It's not something we have time to do now, but it takes time, so, we need to start before January to work on it.
That is,
So, but the other thing, and to just get a feel, because if you guys don't want anything done with it, we don't do anything, but another thing that the state had offered as an option or an idea is at town meetings, some towns are actually just taking like a poll. Yeah, not a vote, but a straw poll of attendees to kind of get the feel of where everybody's at, and if, everybody's gonna be really opposed to something, or if everyone's really wants it, or if they kind of one way or the other, and to get sort of an idea, so that moving forward, we can make sure that the ordinances reflect that. So that's just an idea for the town meeting for you. I think that is all I had.
that's a fair amount. Yeah.
You've been busy in the month.
Nothing like being appointed and jumping right in. Thank you, Darlene. This will be helpful, and I think if you work with Sally on how to
Yeah.
get the ordinance to say what it is that you want it to say.
Yeah, it just, there was quite a spirited debate on which side of the road we're measuring anything from, so.
Yeah.
It makes sense to define it a little bit better.
Yeah, it does, and that'll be helpful to people as they try to make plans. Thank you. Next up, the moment we've all been waiting for. The Sabino Road bids and the results. We had 4 bids for the Sabino Road reconstruction project. We had a bid from Ray Labby and Sons for the total work of $257,051.50. Reno's Excavation, their total for work was $258,905. I'm gonna mess up my French. Saint Laurent and Son. Their total bid was $279,750. And Pratt and Son was $496,500. My personal recommendation at this point would be that we would accept the bid from Reno's Excavation. It is a tiny bit higher, but it certainly falls within the 10% preference for local bidders.
My understanding is that there's been a 1% advantage given to local contractors too. I can't find it in writing, but I understand the state is trying to say that.
I thought it was 10. Yeah.
It's 10.
It's some,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know,
We
I
need
heard-
1%, so it doesn't matter what it is.
Yes,
It is what it is.
Yeah, the state is a 5% for in-state versus out of state.
and Reno's excavation is certainly a known entity to us. And they meet all qualifications. So I'm going to move that the bid be awarded to Reno's excavation. Yeah. So Kathy has a family member involved.
I second, I didn't hear what you said.
She has to
Yes,
recuse
I did,
herself.
now I hear what you're telling me. I second the motion.
Well done. Are we ready to vote?
We are.
We voted. All in favor? So congratulations to Reno's excavation. And,
I wanna bring up something, we got an email from St. Lorette saying he's getting into the paving. He sent me a quote, along with Crooker sent me a quote for the Sabino Road, and he was $8,000 more than Crooker for that little job. So, I just wanted to let you know what kind of deals that Crooker is giving the town.
It always has.
Right, but I just wanted to bring that up, they sent me a quote, because we get a bunch of quotes, to give them to
Right.
people, and they were 8,000 more, and they weren't even gonna grind it.
So it was a common theme
Yeah.
with bidders.
So can I ask a question when I'm looking at it?
You're right.
The gravel base between you and Larry is dramatically different. Are you guys compatible on the gravel?
These numbers that you're looking at here, it's all the big game for contractors. It's the final number now.
Look at the mobilization.
However, you do need to fill out all categories if you keep looking at the bids.
So, like, one of the reasons, I know exactly what it's gonna take for gravel on the side of the roads down there. I've been working down there all fall, and there's a lot more gravel there than you think it's gonna take. And another thing is, when Nick and I was going through the bids, we had to get a price from Crooker to grind all the hot top up. And Larry didn't put that in, he was gonna haul it all off. So we can reuse that material in that road bed.
They actually recommend, they want it reused as a base, which Levy did not have in their bid.
To set the fabric over some of the holes and.
What's the difference in mobilization?
Where we categorize some of our stuff into mobilization that they might not, as far as,
So is it kind of a catch-all to kind of?
yeah, I mean, it just, some of the stuff that they don't categorize as mobilization that we do and vice versa. Some of our other numbers will be smaller because of that.
That's what he
Does the
said.
town
That's what he
ask
said.
for unit prices beyond anticipated amounts? Like if something unforeseen, like you get into a honey pocket and you really, there's.
That, no, they didn't, and they normally do on a bid like that, that you have to give it for the same price. So what they'd probably do, see this, the problem with this bid here, he should have put quantities down, but it's unforeseen. I mean, everybody knows it's a peat moss, everybody knows, so. The only way that anybody can get any more money out of this bid is if they dig in the center of the road and find a bunch of wood and junk that is unsuitable soil. And then,
Or rock.
or I'd like to see rock.
You know,
Maybe-
Carly said there was gold.
There might be gold.
Would that be fool's gold?
Okay, well, good. This is kind of like a big milestone. We finally got this bid.
Yes, and I think it's,
One more thing. Still doesn't give me anything.
Yes, they're making her start.
project start date, you can't start until after your bats, and a couple other birds, and then responded.
So do we know what?
I don't know.
It'll be in August, because July and August is that window for the culvert. Some of the other stuff will be done, you can't cut no trees or any of that. Bats.
And, yes, I can add my 10 copies of.
That's actually really common.
Consultation for bats.
So we can't start until after the bats have,
Right,
have their babies and the babies are ready to live on their own.
yes, that is,
How much do you think the price changed with, the culvert being changed? Was that concrete thing,
from the concrete to the other, you're probably looking at close to 50,000.
just for that concrete culvert?
Concrete, the arch
A
culvert.
lot more involved than just the actual concrete price, you get cranes set in, and we just did one last year, and it was phenomenally
Okay.
more expensive, yeah.
But see, if you take that material that we're gonna use for the grinding, and you add that to the other material, that's why my number is lower on the common gravel.
No, I'm just curious, maybe.
No, I wanted to explain it to you a little better, but a lot of these numbers, people don't want to put down exactly what they're doing, because the next guy bids it, gonna look at these and write all your numbers down, and they're gonna be on top of what you're bidding next time. So that's why I say, most of these numbers are a game, it's that bottom number, it's what you gotta do the job for.
So how do you know when the bats have done their thing and you can go in?
DEP's got it out, but they don't let you touch it.
So they let you know when it's,
They give you a date,
okay.
and you can start in July. We'll probably gonna be doing other work now before July, getting prepped for it, ready for it. And there's other work on the road that we also would like to try to get done, so when we, hopefully when we're all done, we could pave it straight out through. Because that project date is already paid for a good section of hot top, so if we,
And the paver's down there.
so I think we need to do a better deal.
Wonderful.
So. But I'll keep you posted on that.
How many years has this taken to get to this point?
Oh.
I'm just curious, just a
It
general.
it was in the conversation, we were already talking about it when I came on the board in 2015.
And it was,
This is like the third round and they.
I'm sure Darlene did it.
It's a third fix.
Huh?
Yeah, it's the third thing.
It's more than that.
Yeah, but you did it, didn't they guys do it? Were you
David's
working
memory's
for
so
the
long.
work?
In the
No,
last,
I don't
what,
think
20
so.
years?
It might have been after I
Greg
left,
was
it
in
was
Greg,
2010,
I
so.
was his classmates. Last long time.
But, yeah, we had a bunch of different,
It's good, it's a good milestone for the town. I mean, the Bulwark Road worked out nice. I mean, all went along, we never had a frost heave there. The Hill Road's holding up well,
Yeah,
doing some of this, we don't have that big problem on the hill with ice.
right.
I mean, we're not gonna get them all, but if we can just pick away.
But just even scraping out that riverbed
Right.
is a huge, I mean, that, when we got that 2+ inches of rain, it got up to the road, but not over the road.
Right.
And that was simply from the amount of water that had
And
come
it was
down.
totally gone the next,
Yeah,
down.
well, and we don't have the right, there's a 2-foot culvert inside it, so it still didn't have the
Right.
proper flow, and it still didn't have.
And if you look at the drawing, up the road further, there's cross culverts to get the water going off both sides. Well, neither one of those were down the right height or anything in water spot. In that plan, there's actually 3 sets of culverts going across that road in that plan, so.
I mean, it's already improved even before we.
So speaking of that cleanout that you guys did, my understanding of this is, back now from, let me know if I'm wrong, the road bed basically got super hydrated.
Yep.
So how's the town gonna prevent the homeowner from doing that again?
Well, it was the homeowner's fault at first, but the guy that's lived there for 15 years said it was done before he got there. And the last time that ditch line hasn't been cleaned out for 50 years. And we wanna put something in where that actually gets checked once a year and maintained. I mean, it might take, maybe a day to go down there with a chainsaw, cut out any trees that are falling in, and.
I guess that's where I was getting to,
Right.
is there gonna be a maintenance program? Because if that floods again and backs up, we're gonna be in the same boat with our just spent $250,000.
Who would have thought somebody would have built a waterfall that caused some of that I mean,
You'd be
seriously.
surprised, I've seen it.
I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's before they came out with tapes that you could listen to. Rainforest.
I mean, there's a $15 fix at CVS that has a, that or a white fan.
But Stevie has said before that he wanted to monitor that
Yeah.
drain.
I can just see it coming up and somebody's like, well, it's been there for 40 years, I want it back. I bought the property because of this, I want it back. I mean,
Well, like
it's-
I told the guy that owned it, I said, would you like to be responsible for fixing all this mess we got now?
Exactly.
And he didn't want no water for it.
Okay.
He did not like the sound of that.
Is there any other roads that are in a similar situation because of groundwork done downflow? Because this might be an opportunity to write in, if your personal property affects a roadbed and causes massive town
If
responsibility.
you create a personal
Well, that's-
obstruction.
That's the problem when we come into people putting in their own road culverts. We have a guy that, worked in the town, he's a pretty smart guy, he's done excavation work and stuff. Well, I went down and looked at his culvert the other day that he just put in, and oh my God, both ends are sticking right up out of the ground.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work, so it's all gonna get plugged up, it's gonna fail, the water's gonna go down the road, and they're gonna ask the town to go replace it. Because it would've took an extra $1,000 to hammer that ledge out to get that culvert down where it's supposed to be.
So I guess that's my point for bringing it up. Can we use this as, look, we need to look forward. We need to make sure that personal work doesn't affect town roads.
We can certainly add that to the discussion of,
Most of your ice issues in the roads are because of people's driveways.
Yeah.
well, that and ledge, some of it's just,
That end wall, right, no, like Sabino, we gotta go down there with a hammer and hammer that spot
yeah,
down.
there's a spot that's not caused by the neighborhood, it's caused by the problem.
Because when these roads were built, there was no such thing as a hammer that would break out rock.
Dynamite and dynamite.
Yeah.
It seems like though, from now on, you can learn from these lessons that we can put some requirements in place.
Well,
No, we can't do anything about
some
this
kind of
downtown.
requirement of people putting road entrances, and there is, and it's written down. Now, it's just falling back, and what do? As a town, we tell them they gotta fix it and fix it right,
Yeah.
and so we need to follow through.
And not the town's responsibility to fix it.
Right.
Exactly.
The culvert.
And I have spoken to this guy and told me he had to fix it right, he knows better than that, and he said he would, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay, good. All right, celebrations for Sabino Road, yay! And some things to explore for the future and make sure that it's clear that if it's your culvert crossing the town into the town right away, then it's your responsibility, not the town's.
Yeah, we'll probably have to get together with Christine and rewrite our ordinances on culverts,
Yeah,
permits for street opening culverts.
yeah.
Or just street opening roads. It doesn't say that language in there.
Yeah.
You can't get through the rock and just set it on top, you know, it's just, you've gotta spell it out.
Well, I know the same.
Is there a thing where so you have to issue the road opening permit? Shouldn't you have to approve it after it's in?
Yeah, I do, that's what I told him, no.
We have the permit, and he does sign off on it,
After the.
but it doesn't have any language.
Signs off on the permit, but does he have to approve the work after it's done? I don't know this.
That's something we have to put in.
It's
That's
really
what, that's, I mean, that's what I mean, that's
Yeah.
what you need, you can tell them they can do anything they want, but then, once they get the permit, they can do whatever they want, right?
Right,
So we need to.
This is not a lawless society.
and it doesn't say who replaces it or maintains it, it's just there's no language that describes what needs to happen.
And that is becoming more and more of an issue, so we really need to get that.
Maybe the permit doesn't get signed until it's complete.
You have to have it permit to take it out, just,
You can have a permit, I mean, maybe with the way it worded, the permit's in process until you get it done complete, it doesn't get finalized. Then you're not gonna get a bank on it, get nothing
Final
until it's done right.
inspection.
Well, what we could do is maybe have the town administrator or one of the secretaries sign in the permit, and then, if that's not completed until I sign off. Something like that.
All good ideas.
Yeah.
And probably not on tonight's agenda.
No, we'll figure it out.
So let's move to business item 4, the town administrator update.
Okay, I'll go through this as quick as possible. Our traffic light at State Road and New Meadows, has everybody forgotten about that?
No.
The state awarded the bid,
Oh,
so we're coming up on a pre-construction meeting which hasn't been scheduled yet, but I'll let everybody know in case you're interested in attending.
We know we have to do.
It was awarded to Pratt.
well, that's exciting.
Yes, so it will be happening. I met with Mark Myers today, he's the Assistant City Manager for Bath. We talked about the boundary issue between Bath and West Bath. We talked about Wing Farm. He indicated that he would like Mike Hennessy to talk with Brenda, and I will relate all of this to Mike. And just basically tell them where we want the line, and he will pursue it.
Okay.
So that should be easily remedied. With Wing Farm, my understanding is that Roger Terrio at some point started drawing up a memorandum that tells everybody what needs to happen with the sewer. And we don't know if that document exists somewhere and hasn't been ratified, or exactly what the scenario is. So Mark is gonna follow up with Roger and see if there's been any activity at all. Mark said that they've been getting a significant amount of questions too.
Was it in the sale agreement or was it addressed in the sale
It
agreement?
wasn't at all, the sewer wasn't addressed at all, and Mark said that, you know, it's just something that was missed at the time, nobody was thinking about it. The water was taken care of, the sewer was not. So we're gonna start by checking in with Roger to see if anything's been done, and go from there.
And my recommendation
Roger.
is that you definitely wanna get that out of our hands.
Oh, yes, please.
We don't want no part of it.
So,
It's just,
Never mind.
Not loud.
That's okay, that's allowed.
I went through those papers, I don't remember anything about the sewer,
No.
but maybe it's tucked somewhere in Roger's files.
There was discussion about it.
Yeah, it's the discussion that never got finalized, it never. all
On
of
both
the-
sides or just our side?
On both
On
sides.
both sides.
They were in such a hurry at the last moment, I'm sure it just slipped everybody's.
Yeah, and in the original stuff.
Selling
Not just us.
So things get missed, and I'm confident that we're at a point where we can maybe
Figure this out.
figure this out.
there must have been some minutes somewhere when they were planning on doing it.
Oodles and oodles.
There's tons and tons and
If
tons.
you're bored someday, you can come in and look through everything.
In triplicate, and duplicate, and quadruplicate, and,
Right.
I went through all that stuff.
It really should be a simple fix. We don't have sewer, they have sewer, they're gonna get paid for servicing that sewer. So the people that owns a piece up there should be very happy that they have a place to put their sewer and not a leach field in. So they all should be responsible for their own lawns.
Yeah, and I checked in with their public works director last week too.
Yeah.
And Lee indicated that he really wants to see this finalized as well. And I said, is there any chance that, you know, the city of Bath would consider taking over the sewer infrastructure? And he wasn't opposed to it. He said he just wants a document to tell them
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah.
That'd
So
be great.
I think that we can hash this out and figure it out.
Good. That's why we have a town administrator. Do you have it?
Julie has a cash summary
Oh,
that
yes.
she would like you to sign off on.
Alrighty.
There's a copy for each of you. And then this is a copy she would like signed off on if you're comfortable doing that tonight. Or I can make copies for everybody and send it to you.
Mm-hmm. So it makes sense.
That was a different area. This is from
I get a question.
years ago. Okay. Me too. Two more, those are the one on the file.
agreement. I would appreciate it if everybody could really take a look at it.
You're giving us until next meeting?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to.
It's a lot to take in.
What about nine?
Send that chain if the contractors get a copy.
Is
this a result of the work?
Yeah,
Shop
it's
that you
from
had?
information that we gained at the workshop and also some correspondence that Madeline had with DOT last January. So I took the information and made it part of this agreement. Special attention to section 4 that goes over the maintenance requirements. And then if you see anything, we can talk about it at the next meeting. And let me know at what point you want me to send it over to Sally. If you want me to do it now, or if you want me to wait.
Yeah, let's do it now. And so if we need to incorporate it or stuff in, we can include that in the discussion and then.
I'd really like to see us get this out.
I was gonna say, maybe we could even get this out to bid, authorize the bidding process on it.
I did forget to mention one thing the other day, thinking about it.
Yep.
Oops, sorry, too late.
Well, we had a problem the first time that, our roads got plowed this last contract.
Yeah,
And it cost the town around $30,000 to fix the road.
yeah.
I think there should be something in that contract that they're responsible to repair the damages they do to the road.
Wait, that's not in there?
I don't know how specific it is. I can ask
I
Sally
don't,
about
I
that
just say
language.
to the road, any damage caused should be remedied, because I'm pretty sure the mailbox is.
The mailbox.
I don't think the
That
mailbox is
certainly
gone.
makes.
No, I'm not worried. What happened was is they put, on these big plow trucks, if you don't know what you're doing, if you drop your front part of your wing first and then your back, well, it gouged in and it took about a 200-foot section on the Sanford Crossing Road and just ripped the hot top right off. And we actually had to have that whole section repaired on our dollar, which it should have been the contractor's responsibility. So
I'll
I would
check
like to
with
see
Sally
some
on that language.
kind of wording in for that.
Maybe they're responsible for anything beyond general maintenance, you know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, you get wear and tear from road
Right.
plowing, but anything beyond, general
Well, and
maintenance issues.
you can police that by
I had two
going
copies.
and driving the roads
In November.
with a dash cam in November, like October 30th, and just do them all and keep that, and then you know exactly where.
Right.
So they
But we
can't,
just don't have it in that, but we're trying to catch up on the roads ourselves and go around and fix, just because unexperienced people is the reason we lost a lot of shoulders, they did a lot of damage that first year. And it's hard because you do get, like we have right now, we got a snowstorm right now, you don't know what you're doing, we're gonna have a mess out there on our roads, they're gonna rip them all to.
And a little frost on the
Christine's
tracks.
already declared we won't be getting any more snow.
No,
Okay.
there's snow's
But
over
if you
here.
do and you don't see it pushed back on
All
it, there's
set.
a reason, because I caught up with them and told them just get it off the top.
Yeah, because it's gonna melt from now on.
Right, so.
Okay, this is good, and you've got that note, so,
One more thing.
yes.
Our treasurer actually has the audacity to go on vacation this year.
Oh, no.
She's hoping that you will either come in and sign an AP warrant on April 6th, or that you will have a meeting. I don't know if you want to have an extra meeting with everything that's going on, or if you just want to.
I think just signing a warrant is good.
I think the treasurer has demonstrated her wisdom and capability of making appropriate recommendations for accounts payable. So I think we should just simply sign, and that'll be good.
Okay, I'll let her know.
So it's in the morning, if you tell me what time on the 6th, I'll swing by.
When did she have it done today? Probably be around the
One?
same time.
Yeah, lunchtime?
Yeah.
Okay. I will. Wait,
I
April
was
6th,
just
right?
wondering, and I'd like to address this to Steve, you'll probably still have disowning the family member, but here goes. Do you think there's any need, or should we have a road committee? And why I'm saying that is, to write some of the ordinance and stuff, like we have a planning road committee, we have, I'm just wondering if West Bath should have some kind of road committee to firm up the culvert rules, any of these issues that we just don't have any policies and procedures for. Just asking.
I think definitely we should have, I think more than one or two opinions, and then you take out what makes sense and put them in there. I think it may be 6 times a year or 4 times is plenty, I don't think you need to meet every month. But Pittsburgh has a road committee and it works out really
I
well.
was just thinking, it would be nice to have people who know the roads making recommendations, and if you have a group of them, maybe they can come to a.
Sometimes that can be worse.
But,
As long as it doesn't turn into a headhunt on the road commissioner.
Right,
no,
exactly.
and that's not what it would be.
No, but sometimes, you know, they think,
Right.
okay, I'm on the road committee, you need to do this road commissioner.
No, it would be the
Steve and I are gonna do our ride along, we're gonna go out and have coffee together, it's all good.
I think
Evening and day.
to help and assist the road commissioner in having some good policies.
Well, it's not that, it's just making policies clear.
Right,
I mean,
right.
I understand that, and I said that day when I became road commissioner, that I think we should have some kind of road committee and figure out, okay, we need, like, we got a big problem coming up right now, we need some budget to fix these roads up. And it'd be a lot better with the whole committee trying to figure out the best way to do this than just me trying to present it for budget hearing.
And from my perspective, I felt that last Monday's meeting was very helpful, at least to me.
And that's what we got thinking, if we had
Yes.
a committee of people that were assigned to do this, I don't know.
Hopefully you can get more on that than we do some of the other committees, but,
My committees are doing well.
are they?
Yeah, we had talked about this a couple of years ago.
We did.
And,
I'm all for it, so there's no, that doesn't offend me, I'm still gonna tell my opinion,
well, of course you are.
and they got, and I love hearing different ideas and different stuff, so.
Yeah,
And another thing will help out, is they might live down that part of town,
right.
and they see occasions that happen more than I do, so. And I think that's why most towns do have a committee and do that stuff.
So how would we proceed on this?
Well,
Find interested parties, and then Carly will draw up some papers, and you can come up with
we develop a policy with Christine's help about what the job description of the committee would be.
The only thing I would suggest is to limit it.
Right.
When somebody get off, somebody can get on. I don't think we need 10 or 15 people in here giving those opinions, I
I
think.
was thinking 3,
Yeah,
5 tops.
yeah, and then have you guys sit in on,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
I see you nodding, somebody.
He's raising his hand, did you see
And then
that?
once we get that, you could maybe just put it on the website and see if you get any response.
And I want to give the town's heads up too. I am actually selling my business, with excavation. My son is taking it over, he's purchasing it, so.
Silly.
So that's when we get the bid, right?
He's one that, he's one bid on it, but that way we don't have to keep hearing about conflict of interest, me and this, I can be more attention to that, and maybe my sister can go with me, I don't know.
No, it's not.
No, she's still related. Could you get us started on what a roads committee would look like, and we could take a look at that? If not next meeting, because it looks like we might be a little full, then early April.
Sure, be happy to.
Yeah, you don't even get it necessarily, let's get all this other stuff, budget committees and all that stuff there done, and then.
Yeah, and then after town meeting, we can.
Let's say something, we gotta jump that, so.
It would be nice to have it
Put out there.
before the plowing season starts.
Yeah, July 1st, you know, the new year.
And we generally appoint a slew of people right after the town meeting anyway, so. But if we can start looking at what that would look like. It doesn't have to be finalized, just kind of we're talking about this kind of thing, would be helpful.
And time goes quickly, so
It does.
be prepared for it.
Can I stick something in just real quick?
Well, why not?
So I read this real quick, the, contractor, as far as the damage, contractor shall be responsible for replacing and repairing guardrail posts, signs, sign posts, mailboxes, and mailbox posts. Other posts or similar objects in public right-of-ways that are damaged by reason of snow removal operations under this agreement. If the town representative determined that such damage could have been avoided by the contractor. It says nothing about road,
Yeah.
or shoulders, or anything like that. And then usually, because we do this at work, we don't pay that last payment until all the damage is fixed. You hold that last payment until all the damage is fixed. So this is just saying, it's just 6 equal monthly installments, and the last one's in April. So that's a good way to try to keep that
Christine's making
going,
notes.
so it does have repairing, but it's.
Right, but it's a
Just-
little more specific.
It's none of the groundwork, it's not, the shoulders take it the worst.
Yep.
I had a guy go and we put all this nice, and the road was narrow, so we had this really nice mulch rock sand mix, which was really like 3 feet of shoulder. And the plow guy came along and he dropped his wing right at the edge of it and curled it up and just threw it all down into the
Yeah.
grass, 4
Yeah.
inches deep.
Yeah, I've had a lot of ditches built the
Thousands
same
of
way.
dollars worth of side shoulders put in specifically for that, yes.
And we did go over and take care of the guy on the Sanford Crossing Road. And basically, what he had there before was a bunch of rocks in there and the water coming up between all the rocks and stuff, so there wasn't no thing in it. All we did, we wrapped it, put rock around each end of the culvert, made sure he had at least 12 feet of way to get in there.
So was it, we mentioned it was what, 18
Yeah.
or something?
So, we took care of it.
Cool.
I bounced off.
Circling
But it
back.
was a structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of rocks in it.
That was my house.
Yeah, I know, and I bet you
I think that,
Whatever.
You're getting carried away being neighborly, stop. Charlie has something to say.
Thank you. Circling back to the committees, do you want me to put that up on the website, the call for volunteers right away, or do you want to wait until there's something solid in place?
Let's wait till we have kind of a start of a job
We'll add the
description.
description in place first, I think that's good,
let them know what they get into.
yeah.
Exactly.
I'm gonna do that.
As a ladder car next week, look for a ride along. All kidding aside, seriously.
Okay, let's hold that off. You can work that out when we're not on the clock.
It's lunch.
Are you done with other? Okay, so I move that we enter into executive session pursuant to 1, Maine Revised Statutes, Chapter 13, Section 405, 6A, to discuss a personnel matter. May I have a second? All in favor of executive session? You all